As soon as they make me the highest paid player in the history of the NFL. That was the end of that quote. I don't know if we cut it off or if that was just his internal monologue. And so here's the deal for Dak being a Cowboy for the rest of his career, or at least past the franchise tag this year and the franchise tag next year. They're going to have to make a Super Bowl this season because there's two paths here. One is the Cowboys don't make the Super Bowl. Dak continues to demand to be the highest paid player ever, knowing he has the massive leverage of $38 million fully guaranteed for the season after this via the franchise tag and then true free agency. And the other one is that they disappoint or they make the Super Bowl and the Cowboys pay him whatever he wants. And so I don't think Dak is going to settle after he didn't settle when he was looking at $3 million, when he didn't settle when he was looking at $31 million. So in order for Dak to not hit free agency in 2 years, in order for Dak to be a Cowboy for the rest of his career, Brian, I think this team has to make their first Super Bowl in a quarter century. And by the way, I think they could. Under the radar last night, they had Everson Griffin. It's a totally remade defensive line. He's an outstanding player. They lose Robert Quinn, but they added Dontari Poe, Gerald McCoy. They get Crawford back from injury. You hope DeMarcus Lawrence gets back to being a double-digit sack guy. And you had Everson Griffin. You upgraded at coach. You had a great draft pick, I believe, in CeeDee Lamb. This is a team that absolutely could make the Super Bowl. But the only way I think Dak is a Cowboy for the rest of his life is if they do make the Super Bowl, because otherwise they're going to franchise him again, and then he's going to be a free agent, and the whole league's going to be able to bid on him, Brian.
Well, I agree with you in the fact that if they make the Super Bowl, Dak definitely will be back as probably a lifelong Cowboy, at least through his prime. But I also think there's another way to go about it. I think that when you look at Dak, obviously coming off the best season of his career, almost 5,000 yards, 30 touchdowns, and only 11 interceptions, but the team was 8-8, and so they couldn't beat the good teams, even with Dak having that type of year. The question is, do you believe with the addition of Everson Griffin, Dontari Poe, all Gerald McCoy, CeeDee Lamb, and most importantly, Mike McCarthy, is that worth 2 or 3 wins? If it is, then that means they're 10-6 or 11-5. That gives you an opportunity in the playoffs. And once you get into the playoffs, it's about any given Sunday. It's about can this offense and can this defense come together for one game and try to win. And if you tell me that Dak and this Cowboys team wins a playoff game or 2, in my opinion, that gives him the leverage that goes and be able to say, you know what, we didn't accomplish the Super Bowl. We didn't get there the way that we wanted to, but we improved mightily from last year. And if you're Mike McCarthy, you're going in, banging in on that desk saying, Jerry Jones, we got so much better from last year. Don't put me back at the starting line again with having to deal with a different quarterback. So if I'm Dak, I'm just going out there and play. And I love everything that he said. He said, I'm a fan of the Cowboys. I love being a Cowboy. And let's worry about today and not worry about tomorrow. That's what true leaders say, and that's how true leaders talk. So he's a franchise guy already. He's a guy that's going to be the face of your franchise. But now he has to put some wins together. And if we talk about 2 to 3 wins, that's what they have to add. Mike McCarthy, all those additions, I think would be a big part of them winning those opportunities and then make it into the playoffs. And then you'll go to the table and you're talking about a quarterback that is a playoff quarterback that has led his team to a playoff with a brand new off season, with a brand new offensive side of things, with a coach that wasn't even in place when you're talking about you had those off-season practices, those OTAs. Now, just imagine if Dak can go through those OTAs and things in the next season with Mike McCarthy. I think he'll be much better as well.
I want to take a look at the Cowboys' path here. Nick, I know you've got them at 11-5 for the year, and you're talking about them going to the Super Bowl. And we just saw Jimmy G go to the Super Bowl, lose it, and that didn't seem to help his job security at all. Got the front office saying, maybe we'll bring in 43-year-old Tom Brady. Do you think Dak needs to win the Super Bowl or just get there?
No. The Cowboys and Niners are very, very different teams. And if the Cowboys get there, it's going to be, even with the upgraded defensive line, it's going to be because they are a top 5 offense. With Mike McCarthy, Zeke, that offensive line, those receivers, and Dak, Jimmy G was a passenger on the Niners train that got to the Super Bowl. And by the way, the Niners weren't foreign to getting to Super Bowls. Colin Kaepernick had taken them to a Super Bowl in the last few years. The Cowboys haven't been to a Super Bowl since 1995. What I'm talking about is their playoff success and his becoming the highest paid player in the history of the league being predicated on that, because let me back up a bit. I don't think he's accepting a penny less than highest paid player ever, because now he has all the leverage. $38 million fully guaranteed via the franchise tag for 2021, and then true free agency is his worst case scenario. But because the Cowboys also haven't been to a conference championship game in a quarter century, maybe Brian's right that they don't have to quite get to the Super Bowl in order to pay Dak. Maybe if they get a game away from the Super Bowl, which every team in the NFC has been over the last 20 years except for Dallas, Detroit, and Washington, then maybe that would be enough. I'm a little skeptical given the fact that they couldn't come to an agreement with him last offseason or this offseason, but I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that this team wins the Super Bowl, Brian. I haven't done my picks yet, but my regular season picks, the best record I have is 12-4 in the NFC, and I've got Dallas going 11-5. The one seed is a real possibility. Getting to the Super Bowl is a real possibility. And so I think this is the best Cowboys team Dak's been on, and I certainly believe it's going to be the best coached Cowboys team Dak's been a part of. And so I don't think it's a crazy idea to say they make the Super Bowl and they make him the highest paid player ever. I just don't think he's going to be a Cowboy for life if they're 10-6 first round exit, because then I don't think he's getting that contract extension that he wants, Brian.
No, I agree with you there. 10-6 in the first round exit probably doesn't get him there, because at that point, Mike McCarthy said, you know what, we could have done this with Andy Dalton, but he has to be, 10-6 in a couple games in the playoffs, or at least 11-5 in a couple games in the playoffs. And, I have them at the Cowboys at 10-6 at this point, and I certainly can see them at 11-5. I can't get them to 12-4 at this point, but it's really all dependent on how Dak kind of gets used to this offense, but more importantly, what that defense can do. And I know they added a bunch of guys on the defensive side of the ball, but I watched that team all of last season. I watched the last 9 games this offseason. Again, in 8 of those 9 last games, they gave up over 100 yards rushing. In a lot of those games, as far as on the defensive side of the ball, they couldn't get off the field. They were 25th in takeaways on the defensive side of the ball, only had 7 interceptions. The easiest way to make things easier for your offense is shorten the playing field. How you want to score more points, which the Dallas Cowboys definitely need to be able to do against the better teams, shorten the field, get some turnovers on the defensive side of the ball. And how do you do that? You win in the trenches. That's why you go get Gerald McCoy. That's why you go get Dontari Poe. That's why you go get Everson Griffin. They're focused on pressuring the quarterback on the defensive side of the ball so that the offense has more opportunities and better opportunities with shorter fields. And to me, that's going to be a big-time key for Dak and that football team winning. Now, offensively, Mike McCarthy is going to have more motions. He's going to have more variety, more creativity on the offensive side of the ball. Give Dak some easy opportunities, similar to what Jimmy G had out there in San Francisco because of Kyle Shanahan's schemes and the way that he used motions and shifts. Give them some easy opportunities, run the football, but keep the defense off balance. If they can do that, I think this Cowboys team is as talented as any team in the league, and they can win a lot of football games. And that's going to be the key to Dak getting that long-term deal that everyone is looking for.
Nick, I want to go back to you saying that Dak has all the leverage. If he gets up there on the podium and says, I want to be a Cowboy for the rest of my life. I grew up a Cowboys fan. I'm happy here. And then you also say, well, he's got all the leverage. He might leave. But he's given no public sort of, announcement that he has any interest in leaving whatsoever. So why do you think he has that much leverage?
All right. Well, so I disagree with the premise, respectfully, that he's given no public indication that he doesn't want to leave. To me, every time he turned down a contract extension was a very public indication that he might want to leave. And the reason he has all the leverage is because he keeps rolling the dice, and he's yet to crap out. And barring a major, an unspeakable injury, not a torn ACL, a horrifying injury that you don't even like to talk about, his worst case scenario is to be the highest paid quarterback in the NFL in 2021 at $38 million and then to be able to be bid on by the entire league. The reason guys typically don't get to true free agency is because they can't stomach it on the front end. He's already stomached the two most difficult years of it. The final year of his rookie deal, and he's now signed up for the first year of the franchise tag. $38 million for the season after this one, and then the whole league, like, for example, San Francisco, if they move on from Jimmy G, like, for example, New England, if Cam doesn't work out, the whole league being able to bid on him. That's how Kirk Cousins has become the highest paid player in the NFL over the last 5 years, with every year he's played has been fully guaranteed. So I just think the Cowboys, their opportunity to get Dak on something of a bargain was a couple years ago, Brian. And at this point, the fact that they are this far down the road, to me, the leverage is firmly and almost exclusively in his corner.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you there. The leverage, it falls back to Dak's side. And when you have a player that is willing to bet on himself, and listen to me, I was one of those guys that said, listen, give me the money because I don't want to bet on the fact that I'm going to be completely healthy and that we're going to win games. And Dak has said for a long time now, I'm going to be healthy, 64 games that he started, that we're going to win some games. You bring in new personnel, new coach, they're going to win a bunch of football games. And now you have a quarterback coming off the best season of his career. And this is what that best season of his career does. That gives him confidence that he can do it again. That gives him confidence that he can make any throw. That gives him confidence that they can win some football games that they probably weren't able to win last year. That's going to propel him to have a better season than he has had in the past. And I think when you add Mike McCarthy to that, this is a great opportunity for Dak. And it does put the Cowboys in a bad situation because they're going to have to pay him, and it's going to be a lot more money than it was this past offseason.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.